Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I'm Jeannie Nielsen, the Card Lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. First of all, I just got home from work. I fill in on Mondays once in a while, and today was one of those days, and it was insane, to say the least. And then traffic was insane, to say the least. Anyway, I'm glad to be here. And I am going to start out, before I show you my fancy fold cards, we're doing 3 fancy fold cards in our card class on Thursday. And Monday the 17th, we'll have to have a St. Patrick's Day party that day for those that come during the day for the card class. We'll have to do some kind of special green treat. Anyway, before I get to that, I have to say thank you, first of all, to my stamping people. I have a core group that come to many of my card classes, and they surprised me on Thursday night with a birthday party, and surprise is to say the least. But I have such wonderful people, and I wanted to say thank you, and I wanted to show you some of the cards and the gifts and everything that they did. I turned 60. I will say it. I didn't want to say it. I honestly I feel like I'm 30 again. No, I don't. I wake up sometimes in the morning sore and, achy, knowing that my age is getting the better of me, but I keep going, and I get more than 10 to 15,000 steps a day with my job, so it's not like I'm not active. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you for joining me, and I wanted to show you some of the gifts and the cards and everything that they did for me. First of all, I'm a yellow person. I love yellow, and they know I love yellow. So it started out with this beautiful bouquet of flowers. There's pussy willows, yellow tulips. Yellow tulips are my favorite. And baby's breath. So beautiful. And Martha, I have to tell you, I didn't realize until Sunday morning that there was no water in there. So I added water on unless there was water and it just drank it all up. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful flowers, and they're still going strong today. Then I got this really cool birthday balloon. I have to show you. These are the clear balloons. The Mylar is still up in the air. Like they said, they know me. This is my style. But yes, Shirley, the 2 clear balloons, the second one gave up the ghost this morning. They made this beautiful little bag for me, and it had a gift certificate to one of my favorite restaurants in it. This beautiful card was from Jane. Love that. Jane was one of the ones that contributed to the gift. Another one from Susan. Joan knows I love my music. I'm part of the church choir, and she gave me a piano card with some of this beautiful DSP. And what a wonderful world was inside. Can't you hear that playing right now in my background? Instead, I've got this piano music on the YouTube to keep the dogs quiet. Beautiful card, and it's a gift card for another one of my favorite restaurants. And isn't that a cool gift card holder? So thank you to everybody that contributed to that. Martha made this beautiful card. Just love it. And if you could see how many layers, she even colored the sides of, I was going to show you that. Behind me is this beautiful blessings plate, and I was trying to keep it up, but it just doesn't want to stand up. But this is from Susan, filled with chocolate, of course. Anyway, she colored the sides of her dimensionals, and I never think to do that. But beautiful card, and it weighs something. I got another card from Carol Callan. Thank you, Carol. And then Lori repurposed one of our card classes, but she did this one herself because we did not emboss in our card class. This was her doing. And I just love that you guys make the cards at home like you say you're going to. Oh, and then I got this beautiful necklace. It's a mother of pearl necklace or bracelet, and I have to tell you what it says. It says, attracts good fortune, heightens intuition, wisdom, and creativity, guides in discovering hidden potentials, protects from negative energies. Isn't that so cool? First of all, I think I already have high intuition. Sometimes I can't even tell you how many times I think of somebody and then they walk in the room, or I do something and then it happens. So I'm not saying I'm a fortune teller. I'm just saying that I pay attention to what's going on around me. But wisdom and creativity, I wish I had all the wisdom. I don't, but I do wish that. Hidden potential, I'm still looking. And then, of course, I got a Dunkin' Donuts card. So I got a couple of gift cards to nice restaurants, the necklace, so much stuff. And then 2 cakes. It was lovely. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you because I feel like I love what I do, and I love that these people are part of my community, and I'd love to bring others into my community. But anyway, that's the end of that. I'm not going to say any more except thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's get to the cards today. I'm going to move the flowers so they don't fall off, and my son helped me rearrange my room for my card class, which brings a table right next to me so I can work. So we're going to get right down to business, okay? Did I show you this beautiful gift bag made with I think it was the Best Dressed Dies, made a little purse way back when. Okay, time to get to business now, though. Let me move all this off the table so that I'm not distracted. And I can make these beautiful, beautiful cards. I'm so excited for these. So we have 3 beautiful cards today. Don't you just love this necklace? This necklace with my work garb. Anyway, I'm going to flip up to flip down so I can show you these cards. There's my ceiling. We're going to go like that. There we go. There's my chamois. What a mess, huh? Hopefully it's going to clean though. My beautiful glass mat. One of these times I'm going to find the chamois for my glass mat so I can actually get rid of the adhesive on here. So let's get to the cards. First of all, this is the first card. And this card, let me go down a little bit. This card was a card that we made last week in my craft along, but we're going to make it in class this week because not everybody was part of that craft along. So it's a beautiful easel card, and it uses the Link Together dies. I'll show you that one at the end because if we run out of time, I can always say, go review it on last week's Facebook Live and you'll know how to make this. But this card was for my mom. I made it for my parents last week. I love the pink. This is using the Layers of Beauty. I have not used the Layers of Beauty stamp set before last week, I have to tell you. But one of the great things that they showed us, I believe at Onstage last year, because this is in the annual catalog, it's this beautiful large die, but there's also a smaller die that cuts out just this individual image, just that part. So I made this using the Unbounded Beauty designer paper. And of course, my Pretty in Pink, because I love it. God bless. That's important to me. It's important to my parents. And it actually said happy anniversary. And I love the font of that in the stamp set. This one, I decided to say, every thought of you makes me smile. Because it probably does when I'm thinking of somebody. Last card, and I'm going to get to this and how to make this one first, because it takes the longest. Isn't this beautiful? This will turn you into a lover of the toadstools. Now, the toadstools are cute. They're adorable, but they're cute. Not everybody likes cute. This card is totally cased from somebody on Demonstrator Planning Place. I believe her name was Lorna. Got a lot of likes, like 1.9 thousand or 1.4 thousand. I mean, it's a lot of likes. And it uses the new designer paper that's pre-order for demonstrators right now, the Textures designer paper. And let me tell you one more thing before I get to this. This beautiful texture paper has 2 sides that are great. There's 12 sheets in the package, but this is the best part. There's 3 of 4 different designs. Now, I don't know about you, but if I make swaps, 2 packages of paper is often not enough. Or if I do a card class, 2 sheets is not enough. I often need 3 sheets, and I love how they did that this time. And I hope that more people say the same thing to Stampin' Up! So we get packages of 12 sheets with 3 sheets of each. I don't need all those different designs. I need 3 sheets of whatever I love. Okay, so let's get to this card first. This is called a tent card. So I'm going to make this, and hopefully it's going to show I spent all of Saturday afternoon working on this, so hopefully it's going to work out just as well for you guys. Okay, I've got my stuff already here, ready to go. We are going to start with a pecan pie card base. Now my pecan pie card base is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, just like a regular card. The thing that makes it a tent card is this little insert. Now this insert is 2 inches by 4 1/8 inches. So it's just shy. You could make it 4 1/4 inches if you want, but the idea is to keep it hidden inside. It's 2 inches, and we are going to score it every 1/2 inch. Now, if you're really going to pay attention to how you score this, you would have to score it, flip it, score it, because that's how it goes if you're, mountain in the middle. I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. What I'm going to do is just go like this. I'm just going to, let me get my bone folder. We're going to burnish this like that. We're going to flip it. It's just like you're making a rosette or something. And then we're going to flip it once more. And I'm going to set that aside because I'm not ready for that part yet. So, but that's the important part to make it the tent, okay? Okay, this is the texture designer paper that I was talking about, and I really, really like this pattern. It's kind of a burlap pattern, and on the other side, looks more like a macrame type of burlap type of pattern. That's the closest to anything that I'm going to get. I have this piece of white paper. This is going to be inside my card, so we'll see that in a second. Then I have a couple of arch dies that I've already pre-cut. This is the smallest one, and we're going to use this one for our hello sentiment. So I'll set that off for a second. Then what I did was I took a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the DSP here. I cut that out. I cut out one of these dies, and you know what? I really want to get a ruler because, oh, you know what? I'm going to use the bottom of my glass mat just for a second, and it's going to be approximate, but this is about 2 7/8 on the straight edge. So the best way for me to describe these arch dies and the measurements, which die it is, 2 7/8 is the closest measurement. It's not quite 3 inches. That's probably the best way to do it. So the straight edge at the bottom is 2 7/8. And then I die cut a smaller, I die cut a piece out of it again. And this one, I have to tell you, I set aside because I'll do something else with this. I have to figure out what. But I have 10 right now of those arches that are pre-cut. So we'll figure it out. The size of the one that is cut out is 2 inches at the bottom. And when you are looking at the dies, I think there's a difference of 3 dies between the outside here and the inside there, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's every other. But anyway, almost 2 7/8 and 2 inches for that. What we're going to do is stamp this with, I've got my whole bucket here, and it's a big bucket. We are going to use, first of all, the Elements of Text stamp set. And what is that stamp set? Well, it's a great stamp set. Actually, I can show you because I think I have it behind me. This Elements of Text stamp set, if I have it here, I'm actually borrowing my team member Shirley's thing. She used it for a class. Look at this. So it's got great ways of naturalizing, making maybe something look older than it is, just giving it some great definition with either script. This looks more typewritten, almost like a newspaper that's been smudged. Beautiful, more script. And this is actually quite large. And then a couple of ink spots. We're going to use those stamp sets just to add a little bit of background to this piece of paper. And when I say this class takes, this card took me a while, I really mean it took me a while. I'm trying to get a piece of paper out of here that I can use for scrap. Okay, because I don't want to get it all over my glass mat and then all over my card, right? What we're going to start doing is stamping with pecan pie on our background. Now, I chose white. It turns out later I found out that Lorna used vanilla, and I think vanilla is probably even more earthy, more natural, but it is what it is. When you do this text, stamp it first on some scrap paper, and you're going to say, why do you say that? And I'm going to say, well, I stamped it and it was upside down, and on the arch, it just, you could tell it was upside down. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp right in the middle of my, I could even, you know what, I could even do a little bit more right here at the top if I wanted to. That's going to be fine. Perfect. Let me put that off to the side rather than cleaning it right now. This is the ink spots. This is one that has a bigger splotch, and I'm going to do it like right there. And let's turn it. We don't want it to look scripted and like it is exactly the same. We're going to turn it and do that up to the top. Okay, that's that part. But I didn't stop there. I decided that I wanted to make it look older and still more smudged. So what I'm going to do is put away my pecan pie for a second, and I'm going to get my early espresso pad out, and I'm going to use my blending brush. And this is why I said there's more than just fancy folds to my cards. It actually has, some technique to it too. So we're going to use the blending brush just to add a little bit of color. And I don't need it to be exactly the same. I kind of like it when it's exactly the same, but I don't need it to be that way. And what we're going to do is set this aside. Let me put this blending brush out of the way. This is the last arch that I cut out. And this is actually a smaller size than this one here. I just wanted to show you this. I'm just doing this to give this something to glue onto, to give it some sturdy background. If I just glued it onto the card, well, you'll see in a second. What I want to do is actually pop this whole thing up when I finish. So what we're going to start by doing is gluing this onto my arch. And let's hope that my glue bottles are full because I haven't checked them for a while. I like to do glue around, not too much glue. I keep the bottle moving and just kind of squeeze lightly. You don't need a whole bunch of glue. You use a whole bunch, you're going to make a mess. You know what? Before I glue that, let's take out our silicone mat and glue that onto that. So that if I do get glue on, it's going to be fine. Doesn't matter if it's exact. I don't have to turn it over and say, oh, it's more on that side than the other, because you're not going to see it anyway. It's just to give you something to glue this onto. Okay, here we go again. Now, I hope that I do Lorna's card justice because I just kind of guessed. Oh, I guessed it how she did it. I don't know exactly. I'm usually pretty good at casing, but this one was hard and I couldn't pick out. I actually used about 6 different stamp sets to give it, I want to move that over a little bit. I used about 6 different stamp sets to give up some background to this. And then I finally said, I have to ask. I don't know how she did this. Let me put that silicone mat out of the way. I think we're good there. Oh, so let's get going on our toadstools. That's the most important part. I've started taking little nips out of my scrap paper because I've had people glue down the scrap paper if it's been exactly the same size as a layer that I've been using. So that's why that's here. Okay, we are going to start out doing, I need 2 things. First of all, I'm going to need my toadstool punch. And I like to look at my punch and see how they actually put the, how best to put the paper in here. And then I try to stamp the same way. So see how my toadstool caps are upside down? And I'm going to start with this toadstool cap first. Okay, let me show you or tell you what I did. I used for this one, I inked it up. Okay, I've got 4 ink pads. Let me tell you what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Crumb Cake, and hopefully I re-inked it, so hopefully I didn't ink it too much that it takes away the real color of it. But Crumb Cake, Gray Granite, I have Early Espresso, and I have Pecan Pie. So let's see how we're going to put all that together to make this card right there. We're going to do both the stems and the caps. Okay, so what I started out by doing, first of all, let me do this one. This one I started out inking with Gray Granite. So I'm going to open my Gray Granite pad, and I'm going to ink that up. And let's set that down because I'm not ready to stamp yet. What I'm going to do next is take a sponge dauber, and I actually have 2 because I'm going to add color to 2 of my 2 different colors. This one I've decided is Pecan Pie. I don't know what color was on there before, but there was definitely a brown last, so Pecan Pie is probably pretty close. I'm going to take my Pecan Pie, and I'm going to add some color around the edges and to the top of my cap. So it's going to be more natural, lighter for the underside of the cap, okay? I'm going to huff on it since I'm taking my time stamping, and I'm going to put that right there. It's okay. You can see that there actually is a variant there. You can see the Pecan Pie and then the Gray Granite there. I'm going to do the same thing with that stem, to be honest, because I have here a stem. I'm going to stamp that again with same thing because it's going to match my cap. I'm going to stamp that with Gray Granite, and then again I'm going to take my sponge dauber, add a little bit of Pecan Pie kind of near the top of it, and I'm going to just go like that. You know what? This is the nice thing about photopolymer, and I'm glad I didn't do that perfectly, because I'm going to stand up and line this up again, and hopefully the reason it didn't stamp well is because I just... Well, you know what? Let's do it again. I should clean it because there's 2 different colors of ink, and I really don't want 2 different colors of ink on my ink pad. Let's do this one more time and do a better job. See, not everybody is perfect, and you don't have to be perfect to love stamping. You just have to love stamping. Okay, we'll go like that. That's a little better. It's a little darker, but it's better. So that's the first one. So I'm done with the Pecan Pie, and I'm done with the Gray Granite for now. I am going to use the Gray Granite once more. And actually, I could stamp that right there before I start. I need to stamp on my cards. I have these little guys, and I forgot I did the same thing with these. So Gray Granite for the triple stems of my miniature toadstools. And then let's open this again and do this one more time. And yes, for some of this, it doesn't matter because I am going to fussy cut this. Okay, so let me stamp this. There is a bit of fussy cutting for this. Let's stamp my miniature toadstools, and we're going to, this is a little bit involved, and you have to love doing this, I have to tell you. I'm just taking my sponge dauber and just kind of daubing. Just like that. I'm not really heavily daubing, I just want a little bit of color. Okay, I gotta move this all out of my way because I'm going to get my sleeve in this. Not that I'll know on the green, but what I want to do is just line these up like that. I think that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. There's a tiny bit of a difference you can see. Not much of that, but anyway, that's that one. Okay, we're done with that. Let me do my larger mushroom cap. I don't know what this would be. Shiitake? I have no idea. I actually don't eat mushrooms. Not a big fan of them, but that doesn't mean I can't love stamping them, right? I think it's a texture thing. I don't know. Do you guys like mushrooms? For me, they're slippery. They kind of slide down your throat, but I guess it depends on how you prepare them. And to be honest, I'm not a cook, so I really probably don't know the best way to prepare them. Okay, here's where, truth be told, I'm going to find out. You can see that I added my some ink to my crumb cake, and I didn't really do a good job spreading it. If I was going to do a good job spreading it, you know, let's do that right now. I'm going to take, what you do is take like a plastic spoon or your bone folder, just kind of smooth it out, just like that. And then if you don't want your thing to be permanently stained, now it, you know, it hardly even got any ink on here, so I may not have even gotten enough on there. What you're going to do is wipe that right off with a wet paper towel or a tissue, or run it under water or something. Okay, so we're stamping our large cap. And what I'm going to do with the large one is add some espresso, some early espresso. So that's my other sponge dauber. And I'm going to just, and I have to say I added some espresso ink yesterday too. So I think before I stamp that though, so I think we're going to be okay. Oh, we've got more to do too. I totally forgot. I totally messed up on something, but let me finish this. Okay, see how I huffed? When people huff on it, when you huff on it, that's really good. And then I'm going to lift up my thing and, oh, that looks very realistic. But look at what I did. I didn't do a very good job of separating it from the other one, so it's going to be hard to punch. So, but anyway. Oh, and we've got to do that toadstool. See, didn't I tell you this was going to take a little bit? So let me stamp. This is the larger stem. This one has to be fussy cut for sure. I'm going to take, again, my early espresso sponge dauber, and I'm just going to add a little bit right around the skirt of the stem and the top of the stem. Are those the correct terms? I have no idea. No idea at all. But see, you've got plenty of room. I can see this again already happening. So the reason I re-inked my crumb cake was, I've got to show you this. Look at this. When I am looking on my shelf, I think I put the other one, it might be in my retreat inks, but it has a very green tint to that. This has a very green tint to that. Well, this has a very green tint to that. So crumb cake to me, I guess I'm looking more for like Sahara sand or something. And you know what I didn't think about using was basic beige. Anyway, so we have to do a little bit of trimming so that I can punch these out. So, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of fussy cutting. So let's do this. I'm going to go like this. I can easily put that in my punch here now. And we're going to punch that. Voila. I don't have a bucket here for my scraps. Whew. And now I'm getting warm. I've been so cold at work all day today. And all of a sudden, I think now I'm getting all excited about this card. So I'm getting warm. Okay, let me try punching this one. This one is the smaller cap, and we're going to go just like that and just put it, when I put my things in, I'm going to use my hand like this to punch. I don't put it upside down and press down on that on the table. I do it this way. I hold it this way, and I position my thing, and I actually kind of grab it a little bit with my thumb so that it's not, see, it's not going to slide out, but I'm not punching yet either. But I grab it just so I can kind of position it, and then I punch it just like that. Okay, so there we've got our two caps, and that's all the punching I can do. The rest has to be fussy cut. It's not going to take long. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to go around here, and when you're fussy cutting, the best way to do it is to move the paper more than your scissors. So just see how I'm doing that. I'm moving the paper to do the fussy cutting. And I'm sorry, this is going to take just a second for me to do this. I'm leaving a little white edge around these mushrooms, the miniature mushrooms. Mostly, I don't know, because I think it would look ridiculous if I have white in there and I haven't left a little bit of an edge. But then does that make sense? Does that make sense? So, tell me what your plans are for the weekend, and I'll tell you what my plans are for the weekend. There we go. I hope you have fun plans. Yes, I know it's only Monday, but I'm looking ahead to the weekend. I really, really am. Okay, these two stems, I'm going to cut them close. So I'm going to cut them, and there's not going to be any white. And that's because they're going to be on my card with my already punched caps that don't have any white. If there was white around the caps, I probably would have rethought how I did that. But once again, turn the paper. Easier than turning the scissors sometimes. And I'm sorry this is taking so long. If I was doing this on a reel, I could speed it up. And if you're watching the replay, you can speed it up because this is all I'm doing is fussy cutting this real quick. So leave me comments. Tell me what you're up to. I am getting ready for my next retreat. So I spent the weekend working on that a little bit, working on this class. Oh, and then next week is On Stage, and On Stage is Stampin' Up's convention. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I don't know if you remember, but I didn't get in initially. I actually didn't find out until January 17th that there was a spot for me. I said, you know, I'm going to wait to sign up because I don't have the money right now to sign up. This was in November or maybe December. I think it was November, the sign up. I was at work anyway, and it closed within 6 hours. So I said, okay, well, I guess I really am not going to On Stage. And I adjusted to that and I was okay. And then, of course, I felt bad. And then I found out I got in. Yay. And now I'm making swaps. That's a big thing for On Stage. We all make swaps, which means you make 20 or whatever number of cards that you want to get back. If it's an organized swap, they tell you how many cards. And if it's not an organized swap, you can make as many as you want. You could make 5 and get 5 cards back from people. You could make 105 and get 105 cards back. Okay, I'll tell you what I realized that I did wrong here. And we're going to make it work still, even though it's going to be a little scary. Actually, it won't, because if I get more early espresso ink there, I changed it, and I don't know if Lorna did this or not, or if it was just her lighting, but it looked like her inner arch was darker, and I really liked that. So we are going to do the same thing. I always start off my paper and add ink that way. If you start on the paper, you're going to have blobs here and there that are darker. So always start off your paper. It's easier to add color than it is to take it away. That's true of most things, right? Except for money. Very easy to take that away. Weight. No, that's the same thing. Weight. Easier to add than take away. So I'm just making a dark edge here, just like this. And that's how I use my blending brush. I start off the paper and just keep adding. Just keep adding. Just like that. And like I said, if I got it on here and more so, that's okay, right? Doesn't matter. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get to putting this card together now. Hopefully we have time for the rest of our cards. My goodness. Oh, I forgot I have to stamp my hello. And I did the hello also in pecan pie ink. Oh my goodness. I have set everything. this is what my tables look like. But you know, I'm kind of organized here because I've got the room to do it, I have to tell you. But normally it's a disaster. Okay, so this is the last stamping we have to do. I'm going to stamp hello on my arch, which I'm using as a label in this case. Isn't that cool? So, I've seen a couple of people do that. It kind of does double duty because it's a great size. Okay, let's put our ink pads away. And from what I can tell, I am done stamping now. I'm done stamping, I'm done cutting. Let me move this out of the way so we don't distract you. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is glue on my outer edge. This is going to get glued on first. You know what? I just realized something else that I didn't do. I didn't think about this, and I bet we didn't think about this when surely we have to have them die cut this. I totally forgot about that. Okay, so I'm going to do this off camera because my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, my big boss, is off camera. Now, especially it's important that I don't do too much ink because it'll squeeze onto my plates and make a big mess. Okay. So I'm going to put this on here. I didn't even think about this. I don't know what I was thinking, but how do you have a window if you don't make a window, right? Just did not think. Okay, so I'm doing that. Give me 2 seconds to get the die. And I can even probably tell you, hi, Lori. Hi to everybody else that's watching. I just happened to see that Lori is right there at the top of the screen. Lori, hopefully you can come to my St. Patrick's Day party where we'll make these cards. Okay, so type in what you're doing for the weekend so that I know what you're doing. I should show you what I'm going to do. Because I've glued this on now, I'm going to take the die, lay it right there, and I'm going to die cut again, and it's going to cut this out. So that's what I'm doing. So hang on 1 second, I'll be right back. So I guess too, I should show you, I now have something else too. I now have an extra of this as well. And I didn't do too badly. I just cut out a tiny bit. So it's pretty close to where I wanted it to be. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, remember I've reinforced this so I can back it up. Let me put my die in here so I don't lose that because we'll need that for this week. I'm going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals and I am going to, I'm looking at my card. I'm going to put this in here, but you know what I wanted to do first? Okay, let me show you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to put tear and tape on this side and on this side. So let's do that first. I got my tear and tape here. And the reason I'm going to do that first, I'm not going to glue down both sides, but at least I'm going to glue down the back. And I'll show you why. I can't figure out, except that you can see I have my moss there. That's great. And that does a decent job covering. Yeah, you know what? That does a decent job covering. Maybe I'll just leave it like that. What I was saying, what I wanted to do though, I realized that you can see the white there. I don't really care for the white underneath that. So what I was thinking is, okay, let me show you another trick that I have. I use the spatula of my, take your pick tool, right in the middle. I dig this under right in the middle. And I just lift it up and voila, get rid of that piece. Okay, I'm going to have this facing up and I'm going to have this right at the edge of my paper, right down here to the very bottom. Now remember it's 4 1/8 inches, so I can do a little bit, but my score line is going to be even with the bottom. Right there, my score line is at the bottom of the card, okay? So that's the first thing. Then I'm going to put this in here. That's what I'm going to do next. And we'll see if that looks better. And if it doesn't work, then I will know before card class on Thursday night and Monday the 17th that it's not going to work, right? Okay, this is 4 by 5 1/4, this white. We're just going to put that in there just like that. And actually, my white almost goes right down to my edge there. So there you go. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to put another piece of tear and tape there so I have it there, but I'm not going to close the card yet because I have to finish this. I've seen cards, and in fact, Shirley tried to show me a card and thought that maybe I should do it that way. And if you guys want to figure it out and do it like that at home instead of putting it together the way I am, you certainly can. But she had a way that a tab could be attached to the back and you could almost swing it. You know, it's almost swinging like, sorry, I don't want to do that. We're just not going to keep it extra complicated. What I'm going to do is add dimensionals here to the back of my card, all the way around and in the middle. Yep, you need the reel here where I can speed it up, but I'm not super speedy at this. You know, the other thing you could do, this is a good place to use the outside edges, what my team member Laura calls the bones of the dimensionals. You could do big pieces of that here, and that does a good job of filling in those gaps, right? Just kind of fills the area a lot better. And I don't know about you, sometimes I really want to count the number of dimensionals, because how in the world could I go through 100 dimensionals on a sheet just like that, right? Don't you feel the same way? That how is it possible that we go through dimensionals as quickly as we do? Well, I have a friend that would probably put about 8 more on here, and maybe even 10. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to close this just like that and put this right. I'm going to lay this down and hopefully do a good job. And if it doesn't match, it's okay, because I'm not going to have to squeeze that through anymore. So as close as you can get it, but don't worry about it. Okay, now I need to actually build my toadstool picture, right? So I'm going to do that before I build the rest of my tent card here. I'm going to also get my dimensionals back out. This is how I go through them, I guess. And we are going to start popping this up. So first of all, I'm going to pop up. Did I want to pop this up? Yeah, I do want to pop this up. I had to look at my sample. We'll put 3 on there. I could use mini dimensionals here too if I wanted to, in between or whatever. What I'm going to do is pop it up, but I'm going to pop it up so it's not going to overlap the outside edge. You're just going to overlap what you sponged, the inner arch, okay? And the reason I fussy cut everything here was because I want this to lay on top of it, because I realized that that's, if you are seeing the underside of this cap, you probably also are, I don't know, I don't like this. I feel like it needs, it's so green. I feel like it just needs a little bit more brown. So that's what we'll do. We'll just add a little bit of brown ourselves. There we go. Then it won't be so, then it's, there you go. Okay, let me add, do I sound, okay. I decided that you're going to see the authentic me. So the authentic me, if you're looking at something that I'm doing, I'm usually very enthusiastic. I'm very disorganized. I plan things to death. That's the real me. So if you haven't seen the next retreat information yet, it's because I want it to be perfect before you guys even see it. And that's really hard. But that's the authentic me. I'm also very undecided. So do I want to do this? Do I want to? I don't know. Okay, let's keep going here. Did I tell you when I first started these Facebook Lives, I could hear my heart beating? I was so scared of them. Like really scared. Oh, this doesn't have, I love how this one has more pecan pie. Let's see if I can add more pecan pie to this one. In between my white spots, even around the edge maybe. This is going to be easier to do on your stamp than on your actual stamped image because I don't want to lose the white, but that's what we're doing. Okay, so we're doing it like that. That's going to overlap too. Then I've got my stem, and the reason I fussy cut this, yes, I know I can punch it, but it makes it so much smaller when I punch it. So that's the reason I didn't punch it out. Okay, we need some mini dimensionals for this one. It's getting a little bit tight. I also have fat fingers. That's the real me. Did I tell you my sister was born with long fingers and plays the piano? I used to love playing the piano, but my fingers, I could hardly even stretch an octave. Maybe now that I'm grown I can, but when I was taking piano lessons, 2nd, 3rd grade, it was kind of funny that I tried. Okay, so we're going to just overlap it just like that. No, we're going to go like that. Just like that. Okay, kind of fun. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Next, I am going to do, you believe I'm going to do this? I'm just going to make glue here, a lot of glue. And I have here some Spanish moss, and I'm just going to add, not much, it doesn't take much, just a tiny handful. And I'm going to just kind of, oh, that's too much. I didn't want that much. That's really, really, okay. Because this is where you're going to find the mushrooms, right? Out in nature around the ferns and the moss. It'll be better when it dries. And I'm trying not to make it look perfect. I want it to look natural, right? And now I got it all over my clothes, all over my fingers. Okay, good enough. That's that. And then what I'm going to do, now that I've done that, now I can make my tent. So what I'm going to do is, I could have used my spatula like I just showed you how to do, but we're going to close the card just like that. And voila, we have our tent card. And look at how natural that looks. So it'll look better when it dries and it's not so marked. I'm going to just attach my hello here to the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do it kind of off to the edge, right to the edge. I'm going to just add a glue line right to the bottom edge there. I don't know if I'm off camera or not, but just like that. We're just going to put a glue line there. You know what? I'm overlapping it. I decided I'm going to overlap the other edge just a little bit, the side edge, just a little bit. So my mushrooms have something to lean on there. We're going to pop them up with the mini dimensionals that I either put away or lost. That's the other thing. My son, I think I told you, my son got me a, my husband recommended to my son that I get an Apple Watch so I can find my phone because he was getting tired of me. Seriously, Shirley walks around behind me when I'm making my cards, and she says, "You just had it in your hand." So she tries to follow me. So if I set something down, she knows where to find it. That's me. I'm a little, I don't know, maybe ditzy, right? Okay, that's not the end of it. I don't have it here, but I wanted to add a linen thread loop yet. So let me just get my linen thread out of okay, just trust me. I'll add a linen thread loop bow later, but that's going to be that. So isn't that so cute, cool, wonderful, whatever you want to call it. I just love it. So it's going to look better with the linen thread loop, just like that. But here we go. It wasn't that hard. Oops, I forgot one more thing. I need to add some gems. So what I decided worked the best, you could either do pecan pie or crumb cake speckled dots. Or if you really want to add some pink or green to it to add some color, you could do that too. I kind of like the monochromatic look. So this is how I add my gems. Some people use the point of their take your pick tool. You can find what works best for you, but I feel like this putty in the spatula is what works best for me. I'm going to add one down there. I'm going to add another one over there. Maybe I'll add one more large one down here, just like I did on this card, because I kind of like that. So you can decide what gems, but these speckled dots, adhesive back speckled dots, are a perfect match for this. So that's how I made my card, following what Lorna designed. And I'm telling you, some people are so creative. I'm a good caser. I'm a good copier. Okay, let's get to the next card before we run out of time. Actually, I'm going to tell you how to do the next card. I can't show you the whole thing because it'll probably take too long. The next card is my pink card here. And truthfully, my favorite. So this is a Z-fold card. If it was actually attached here, it would be called a double Z-fold because this would make a Z as well. But this is just a plain one-time single Z-fold card. Let me get rid of all my mess here for this. Okay, and let me show you how I made this. Super easy, super, super easy. We're, like I said, using the Layers of Beauty stamp set. We're going to start with our Pretty in Pink card base again. Again, this is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Actually, all three of these cards are 4 1/4 by 11 inches. They're just folded differently. Okay, so this one is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. The brown one, it just had that insert, you know, the tent insert in between. But so this is what we're going to do. We are going to score it at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So I would start by scoring it here, flip it, and turn it and at 2 3/4, which is half of 5 1/2. If you ever have trouble remembering what it's going to be, that's where it's going to be. So let's score that. Let's burnish our score lines here. So just like that. Take the point. Some people might like to go like this. Whatever you decide, just use your bone folder to make a nice crisp fold. Okay, next, let me show you what we're going to do. This is my scrap paper again, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a second. This is also my scrap paper. See, I took little nips out of that so everybody would know this is scrap paper. And for anybody that's coming to retreat, if you want to make these cards, I will be bringing this card class along with all the stamps. So our next retreat is Saturday, April 12th, which is the beginning of Passover. So I hope I'm not losing any of my Jewish friends. Let me show you what we're going to do. Okay. I have 2 pieces of paper here. I believe, oh, I better use my edge here. My pink is 4 1/2 inches by 3 1/4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to cut 2 of them, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. 2 of these, right? Then I have 2 pieces of white, and I haven't taken a little nip out of the edge, so I know these are my layers. These are going to be 1/4 inch less. So if this is 4 1/2 inches long, this is going to be 4 1/4 inches long. This is 3 1/4, so this is 3 inches. 3 by 4 1/4 inches. 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. Okay? Hopefully you remember that. But the other thing, if you buy my class, I will have a tutorial for you. Okay, I have the DSP here. So these layers, this is a regular card back size. This would be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to put a 4 by 5 1/4 inch layer of the Unbounded Beauty paper on here. Nope, I can't use my Bloom Impressions paper because Celebration is sadly done, and I really did love the Seagull stamp set, the heart-shaped stamp set, and my Bloom Impressions paper. And if you want to get right down to it, my toadstool paper too. But, okay, so I hope everybody got what they wanted out of Celebration. Okay, so I'm putting this in the back, and I'm going to put a layer on top for my stamping, for my sentiment inside, okay? But let's just attach these layers. They're not quite what I was looking for. Maybe I will do this one. It has a tiny bit of peach in there. This one, not so much. So it seems like it doesn't match as well, but anyway. Yeah, anyway. So these pieces, because this is going to be 4 1/4 inches high, and it's going to be 2 3/4 inches wide. This is 2 1/2 inches by 4 inches, okay? And I'm cutting 2 of them. And to be perfectly honest, what I did was I cut a 4-inch by 5-inch piece of paper and then cut it in half at 2 1/2 so I could continue my pattern. But does my pattern continue? I think it continues on that edge. So you could do it the way I cut it. You could continue the pattern if you wanted to. I just didn't think about that. Okay, so we're putting this inside. And then let's do our stamping for the front or whatever. I have to tell you, this is a really, really, really large stamp. It's gorgeous though. It is a gorgeous stamp. But you know what happens when you have a very large stamp? You need a really, really large stamp block. Well, I decided there was nothing better than my Stamparatus here. So I got it all lined up for everybody. I couldn't find my Stamparatus grid paper. It's probably right there, but because I decided to look for it, I just couldn't find it. What I'm going to do is take my white layer, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to put one side, this is how I did it, one side on my edge and the other at the bottom of the paper. So you can do it whatever you do, but whatever you do, when you do it, you lay your stamp upside down on here before you add any ink to it. Make sure it matches the paper, and then just try to also mark where it is so that if you do need to re-ink and it moves, you can still put it back in exactly the same spot. So let me grab my magnet here, because that's probably the best way to do it so that it matches. So once again, right on the edge, and I made a line there. I don't know if you could see it. Let me put it back in here. So this is how and it's always going to be different depending on what paper you use for and how you line it up, right? Let me put that there. I can even put it more down. Okay, then what I need is my Memento ink pad. So I got my ink pad, and I'm just going to ink up. Oh my, I'm taking a long time. So I guess we're only going to make these 2 cards because you guys don't want to watch me for an hour and a half, right? Just didn't realize that. Okay, so here I go, and hopefully it's going to line up. Do you see this edge over here? Is that the one I'm cutting off? I'll see it when you know what? I have to add more black. I can see now. I can go back and ink it, but might as well ink it up right the first time. Okay, so I like to stand and give it the heel of my hand when I'm using my Stamparatus, and hopefully I'm not shaking the camera. So we're doing it just like that, right? Okay. Ta-da! Love it. Okay, we've got one more thing to stamp though. So wait 1 second. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I've got my little piece of scrap paper, which is right here, and it's 3 1/2 inches square. So I've figured out that what I'm going to do is line it up with the bottom, just like I did here, and then I figured out where it was going to actually meet the stamp. I don't know if I'm going to try that, but I have a feeling it's going to get ink. I might have to move my magnet. But what I do know is it's going to cut out this part of my rose. So let me just ink up that part. of my rose. Yeah, I'm going to move my magnet. So hopefully I do a good job first time around. Let's see how I did. Beautiful. Okay, and let me just move this out of the way back in my bin. And I'm just going to show you or tell you how I colored this. And then I'll explain it a little bit more. So let me show you. I have here blends. They're Summer Splash. I need some other things, stamps here for what I'm stamping inside. Okay, so I'm going to just start this because we're not going to have time, but you'll see what I'm going to do. I'll build the rest of the card and then I'll add this later. But this is what we're going to do. I have both the light and the dark Summer Splash. So what I like to do with my dark is, oh, and I'm going to tell you a little trick. Because I know this is getting cut out, I don't have to color that. So I can save myself a little bit of time in coloring by not coloring that. What I like to do is outline the outsides of my leaves with the dark. And I'm doing that. You'll get the idea if I just do a little area, right? So this is the dark, and then I'm going to come back, and don't forget, I'm also going to, I like to make sure I have done my share of pink leaves and green rose petals. So just be careful that you're really coloring a leaf. See, that I didn't need to do that. I told you that I didn't have to do it, and I started doing it anyway. You can if you want to, because you can see, I don't know if you can see. Oh my. Well, I guess I emphasized my smile. Be careful with your blends that you get them where you want them to. That wasn't supposed to happen. But anyway, you can almost see the pink underneath, the pink layer underneath. Okay, so that's the dark Summer Splash. Let me show you the light. All I'm going to do is color inside. And you don't have to use a real heavy hand for this. I'm coloring pretty lightly. Sometimes you can hear people coloring with the blends. I feel like if I hear you coloring with a blend, you might be coloring a little bit too dark or heavy-handed. So, okay, so that's that. That's the Summer Splash. The next thing I did was I have dark Lemon Lolly, and I did that for the inside of my flowers that look like daisies. So that's right here. That's what I did with that. Oh, so let me show you something else. When I finish this, there is going to be extra cut off. So what did I end up cutting off? I ended up cutting off this right here, actually. When I cut this out, the die cuts out the entire image, but it was so big for the card that I was able to just hand trim right across that rose petal and around the leaf and cut that off. And that's what I added to the inside of my card, just like that, which looks so much better before I did the big splooge across. Oh well. Oh well. Okay. I'm going to have to change that before tomorrow again so that or everybody thinks that I made a perfect card when they come to class. Okay, this right here, we're just going to use the dark Pretty in Pink. And again, I'm just following the line. So I'm not an expert by any means of coloring. And there are so many people that know how to do this better than me. But this is, I feel like these lines were put here by the artist. So I could just use them. It's almost my cheat line, you know what I mean? And then, so that's my dark Pretty in Pink. And I'm going to add with the brush tip. So I use the finer tip to actually outline. Now I'm using the brush tip to just kind of color in. That tip will get, the brush tip of my darker will get its chance to be used at some point. So, but anyway, so that's that. And that's how it colors. So let me show you the dies, because I'm not going to have time. And then we'll put together the rest of the cards so you see it. Okay, so this is the Layers of Beauty dies. And look at how beautiful, how big this die is. It's humongous. It cuts out the whole entire thing. It really does. And you can see exactly how to line it up. I mean, seriously, there's no surprise how to line up. You can see exactly how to line it up. So it's really easy to cut it out. Then there's this second die, and this is the inside of it. This is the second die. And this one is going to cut out just this part. And I just thought that was just the coolest thing. So I really love that. So it cuts out those 3 leaves and it cuts out that flower. And then you can pop that up to give more dimension, just like I did on this card. Okay, so although I'm not putting away together the rest of the card because I have to finish coloring it and then die cut it, you see exactly here again, there's my flower all ready to cut out. Very easy to line up. Okay, let's get this out of the way and let me show you what we're going to do right here real quick. We are going to attach our basic white layer to our Pretty in Pink, and once again we have 2 of each, right? You know, before I do that, let me stamp this, because if I don't stamp perfectly, I can always flip it over. That's why I like to wait to attach things until later, because if it's not perfect, nobody knows what's on the other side except for you and whoever watches you make it on your Facebook Live. Every thought of you makes me smile. I can't remember what stamp set this is from, but you know, I should show you the Layers of Beauty. It has this beautiful happy anniversary font, and I love that too. But I probably won't make my parents another anniversary card because I just made this one. They wouldn't get 2 cards. They'll probably leave that one up on the shelf to show everybody that comes over to visit them for the next year until I have another card to send them. So what I did with this remaining part, remember I said that was excess, I just cut that out and put that down at the bottom. So if you do that, just make sure you stamp high enough so that it fits, because that's why mine is on its side. That is killing me. My goodness. Anyway, let's put this on here. See, you don't have to be perfect to stamp. You just have to enjoy it. And that's the key. That's the key for everybody that's on my team. That's the key for everybody that comes to my classes. I just love you guys. Just saying. I think I said that in a post last week. You know, the biggest thing is every time I stamp, you guys get a part of me. This is part of my heart that you see. I'm just going to glue this right down, and I'm going to center it as best as I can, okay? So I'm going to top, bottom, left, and right on my designer paper. I'm going to try and do my best to center that, just like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do, and this one I can glue because all I'm going to do is attach with dimensionals or with glue. I'm going to attach my die cut image there to it. So I can just glue this down because can't be too much mistaking with how I do that. But I want to show you the rest of this. So here we go. Center this again on your matte layer. I got to pull this up. It's not centered. It is not centered. Okay, I'm going to show you something. See how I have that splooch there? I'll probably make sure that my edge right there is going to overhang that. So you can see again that I'm not perfect. What I'm going to do is just attach some glue to this side of it, the side here, right there. And if you need to remember, make a little tick mark. Sorry about that. Just make a little tick mark And this isn't going to be, it's not quite half, maybe a little bit more than that, but put the a little pencil mark there so that you know that that's the side that that's going to go on, okay? And what I'm going to do is lay this down, and then I'm going to match it up with the inside layer, just like that, just like that. Oh boy, did I not do a great job centering that. Okay, do as I say, not as I do, because I picked it up, right? You can see that I didn't do a great job. Actually, you can't see where I made the mark anymore, but I'll make sure to, like I said, to cover it up with my leaf, just like that. And voila. Oh yes, and then I forgot, in my card envelope with all my little pieces, there was a little tag. This little tag, mine doesn't happen to have it, unless I'll probably find it on the floor. Oh, didn't I say? Usually somebody says, I don't have that piece, and Shirley says, look on the floor, because I definitely put it in there, and she's always right. We have God Bless, and that's part of the stamp set, and I really like that, because especially my parents have been married 61 years. And the reason they have been married for 61 years is because God has been with them every step of the way. Okay, not perfectly straight, but you get the idea. And then what I did was I tied a loop of linen thread. So all three of my cards have a loop of linen thread through them. And I attached that just like that in a nice open spot. So I could even put it no, because I've attached it already. I can't. Never mind. Anyway, so that's how you make that card, okay? Really, really super simple. You just have to have two layers that are the same, or if you want this inside layer to be smaller, that's fine, just so that it's not going to show on the front. Okay, let me talk about this one more time, because we're not going to have time to make it, but I'll talk about it and tell you how I made it. Once again, it is a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of paper. You can see it here. And once again, it's scored at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4. So, but this one is scored at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4 because they're both going to fold the same way. See, this folds in, this folds in, right? What I did was I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of balmy blue for the front that I'm only attaching to the bottom. And that's going to make it stand up so that I can bend that. If I attach it to the whole thing, all of a sudden you can't open the card. So be careful to only attach it at the bottom. I used the Link Together die, and I cut this out, and then I put a piece of Meandering Meadow designer paper behind the window. Do I have that here so I can show you really quickly? I'm not going to stamp it, but I'm going to show you what I did. This is the Link Together die. There's also masks that match it, if you can get them to work and match. Okay, so here we go. 4 by 5 1/4, and here's all my pieces. This is what we're going to do. So we're going to fold it, and we're going to fold it. We'll burnish that card edge real quick. Then I've already cut out my piece of DSP, and I chose one that has some balmy blue behind it, and it's going to show up behind my window. I also chose one that had some pink so I could use this Berry Burst, just like Judy did when she designed this card last week. My friend Judy designed it for our craft along. Okay, so what I've done is I have used the die, this die, to cut out my insert, just like this. Just like this, I've cut out my window, but I still have this piece. And what I'm going to do is turn this over and put this like this. I'm going to use some Terran tape, just like that, to attach it back together so that my window is put back together. So you still have the window there, right? What I didn't realize is that Judy actually popped hers up with dimensionals. So what she did was there was a space between her window like that, just like that. So that works. This is 3 inches by 4.5 inches. So you cut 1.5 inches off the bottom. And this is my bottom piece, just like that. I cut 1.5 inches off the bottom. You still have another 3 inches that you can save for another project. It just didn't happen to have water in it. It had a big tree, so I'd have to figure out another use for it. I'm putting this behind my window, just like this. Now I've used tear and tape to attach it and then dimensionals to pop it up. And there's my window, and this is perfectly centered behind my window. And then I'm going to attach this. You know what? I think I did something wrong. I just realized. I think I had another layer. I'm going to have to look at that. I think it has to, yes, you have to have 2 layers. So it has to take a full sheet of paper because you have to have a layer for behind to give it something sturdy to pop up. So you have 2 layers that are 4 by 5 1/4, and then a whole card that's 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So good thing I figured that out now before card class. Then what I did was I attached this 1.5 inch piece that I cut down to 4 1/4 inches, attach it to the bottom like that, and you've got your oval, which is one of your linked together dies. You pop that up with dimensionals, and then this can serve as your easel behind. Does that make sense? Okay, that's a lot today. So I'm sorry I didn't finish the cards. Obviously, it's going to take 1.5 hours to 2 hours to finish the cards in class, but it's going to be fine because I'm going to be there to help you. Let me just say goodbye to you. Whoa! Let me flip this. You saw my mess again. That's the other thing. I'm not very... There we go. There we go. Hi, Ann. Don't you love the cards? I'll bring them to Kennebunk this weekend, and we could even work on them together. You can make a card with me. That's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going up to Kennebunk. Ann is my roommate. We're going to have a great time at Celine's retreat. I need to get away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get away and have a good time with friends. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry that you're just joining me now. Yes, I was very long-winded. Watch the beginning of it and look at the cards that I'm going to put in the screen so you can see that this is the first card, Beautiful Layers of Beauty. This is my second card, Linked Together. And my third card, once again, is using Lorna's, here it is, her toadstools with the texture paper. Hi, Karen. I'll show you these cards this weekend. I'll see Karen this weekend, too. Ann and Karen and I, as well as a couple of other girls, my friends, all my buddies. I'm at the Cool Table this year. Can't wait to see everybody. Have a great night. And please, if you want this card kit to go and want to do it at retreat in April or whatever, order it now. Thanks so much to everybody for joining me. I love you guys. Bye.